There we go. That's a good intro song. Oh, my mic was muted. This is Change the Game, episode 9. Today we're going to be going over one of my best solo ranked games. I'm not going to tell you how many elims I get, but just know it was a couple. This is the show where we go over our mistakes, trying to learn from our mistakes, learn from other people, just try to become a better player, change the game, change ourselves, and hopefully learn something every day. So let's get into it. I'm actually just gonna let it play out. I'm landing Demon's Dojo, or Demon's Domain. Let me start over. Being weird. There we go.
They managed to win the first NA Pro Scrim of this season. So the first thing to note is they land Supernova Academy. Very, very good drop spot. These little dash sprites that they're going to get every single game. Super. Alright guys, so today we're going to be reviewing Yamzo, Clix, and Higgs, and how they managed to win the first NA Pro Scrim of this season. So the first thing to note is they land Supernova Academy. Very, very good drop spot. These little dash sprites that they're going to get every single game. Super, super underrated. They provide a total of 27 dashes to your trio. Now, these dashes aren't as good as the old Grimgate dashes, as they don't cancel fall damage. You will take fall damage with these. However, they are still the best team mobility in this season. So them having access every single game to at least one, often three if they want, is incredibly beneficial for them going forward this season. Now, we've all seen Peanut Brain TS's tweet about this incredible drop spot, replied to by Fortnite. And so, within about 45 seconds of landing, Yamzo already has possibly the best loot a human being can imagine. Chug Jug, Minis, Gold Pump, pretty good. So the rest of this off spawn is going to mainly be him collecting ammo and collecting metal, as he doesn't really need to do anything else to improve his loadout. So something to note that is about to come up is that Yamzo is going to do something very similar to Peanut Brain TS whenever Frantic and Somerset ego his DMs, and that is hurl himself off the highest structure he can find. You're probably asking, why does he do this? And that is because of the new letter grade system in this season. It doesn't show up on replay, but every time you res your teammate, the first time you res him, you gain 100 points towards your next rank. So, because Higgs rezzed Yamzo and now Yamzo res Clix, they have gained 200 extra points towards their rank. This is especially good in their drop spot. Why? This can only be opened if they're C rank. This can only be opened if they're A rank. And this can only be opened if they're B rank. I don't know why it's already opened. But the idea is, the more rank they can get out of their drop spot before they leave increases the better loot they can gain access to. So if you're landing and you're trying to determine, should I do this like little Sui strat, you should ask yourself, are there any of these like gate-kept chests that can only be opened if I am a certain rank? I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to fly over to Brutal Boxcars. There is one right here. This is what they look like on the rest of the map. So if you have one of these in your POI, in your drop spot, you're going to want to know, what rank do I have to be to open this? It's always going to be the same rank. Maybe it's S, maybe it's A, maybe it's B, maybe it's C. You then want to game plan. Is it possible for me to get up to B or A if I do the Sui strat, if I do like a couple other things in my early game to try to optimize for this? And then if you can figure that out, you might be able to gain access to even better loot. So that's their basic early game plan, is they're trying to maximize the ranks they can get. Also, every time you rank up, you get Siphon. So right now, you're going to notice that Yamzo is ticking, and there are no Slurp Juice in the season. That is because he just ranked up. That is why he is healing right now. So now that they've done all of that, they've gotten the God Loot, they're now going to hyper-focus on Surge. Surge is super low this season compared to others because it's really hard to consistently play Surge positions, as you just saw there from Yamzo. If anyone tries to play a Surge base, it can be chopped in about 5 seconds. So now something to note, because all three of them now have their own form of ability in these Sonic Boom gloves, they no longer need to hold the sprite, as each of them now have their own form of mobility. These gloves double as a form of mobility and a weapon. If you want to learn more about that, I put information on both my Twitter, Peanut Brain TS on X, and in my Discord, which will be linked below. The basic idea is you can use this weapon to both rotate around and to clearly destroy builds. So they're just going to basically toy with this team back here, continue to milk them. Part of the reason why they are going to work north this season to try get Surge is if they work north, get Surge, and then come back, they can open up more of these chests in the basement that they didn't get access to earlier. If they can do enough damage, get enough knocks, it's possible for them to get up to rank A before they leave this POI. I believe Clix might have just done that. It seems he did. That's another little benefit of this drop spot. If you key north and then come back, there will be extra loot for you to get. Right now, they have a pretty great loadout. Something else to note, these gloves do come in blue and purple rarity. Purple gives 3 charges, blue only gives 2. They all have the 3 charge variant. So, we're in the little boring mid-game state, if I'm being honest. How do we get a kill here? So Yamzo dashes past this guy, instantly creates a great little pinch. So this is pretty tragic for this little cost guy. So his teammates are... Where are our teammates? One's over here, champs. One's over here. So they're already split. Yamzo immediately recognized this. Dashes past this guy to create like a pinch. He's going to now spray him in the back while his 2 teammates spray. He's now pinched between 3 of the best fighters in the world. And there's not really much he's going to be able to do. He can't get out. And within 5 seconds, this fight is over. So again, I'm going to play that without being drone free. Just go over real quick. Really clean gameplay there from Yamzo leading the fight. A lot of IGLs would fold in this position. Having a good fighting IGL, this is the advantage to it. So he's able to take advantage of the fact that he's just closer and able to just isolate this guy. Dashes back. This guy edits for some reason. Honestly, this is a happy accident pinch. But now this guy is just... It's over for him. There's no getting out of this. 50, full piece. Now our teammate, because he came over to try and help for a second, he's now also pretty mad. It's over for him, for being honest. There's not really much he can do. Scan goes off, which means they all know where he is. And now they're all about to pressure as well from different angles. Sonic booming him. Tries to get out. Higgs is once again on the backside, so they push him. They both push this guy into Higgs, which is right here, but it's not showing the map. And now Higgs is just going to be able to come in and clean it up. So in this fight, they've managed to be able to get 2 different 1v3s perfectly isolated. Pretty difficult to do, but they've managed to do it. Both of those fights were essentially unlosable. Now they're going to use some of the extra sprites around to once again cap them on dashes. So even though they aren't carrying around the sprites, they're still getting the benefits of them, as they've constantly this game had 3 sprites, or 3 charges. And I don't know why this guy made noise. He had enough with this game. He had enough with his teammates. He decided to get out. So they juggle all the loot together. They decide to hold the Fury R. They believe they've done enough Surge for the rest of this game where they will not need the DMR. They go back to this sprite and they replenish their dashes again. So they all 3 have the Sonic Boom mobility for this endgame, as well as these 3 dashes. Now, I don't know if I mentioned at the start, but the thing about these dashes compared to the Grim Gate ones is that these dashes don't cancel fall damage. So if you do dash off height with this, you will perish. So it's a very good rotation tool, especially in endgame for like just jumping forward like 5 or so boxes, but it's not as good as like Grim Gate was. I've been a big proponent that these pistols are crazy broken. I think they are an incredibly good gun. But now, because they cleared out their side, so real quick, let me just explain like this like funnel principle. Because they worked back north, they were able to clear out this side. Actually, I can... Give me un momento. So let me just snip this real quick so I can draw. So, because they worked backwards, they basically cleared out this space above them. So there were no teams in this space, which means there were no teams that are going to come behind them. Because of this, when they cleared forward, they essentially cleared all of this space. You're wondering right now, why do they have so much room compared to everyone else? They should be on the congested side zone. It's because they cleared out space. They went backwards first, forced this team to go this way. There is a team that lands here in Vital. They hauled ass. They were not wanting to be a part of that. So they cleared out all that space backwards. Then they went to boxcars, wiped that boxcars team, and all of a sudden, there's no one in this entire green box. And so, when the next zone pops, because there's no one in that green box, it essentially extends. There's no one in this new green box now, and so they have all of this space. So, because they're really good at Keen, because they're really good at just aggressing teams, they have a ridiculous amount of space right now, and that's about the most important thing in this meta. We've already seen how broken these Sonic gloves are. If you are around a lot of teams, you are asking to die, because anyone at any time can just start Sonic booming you, and there's not really much you can do to stop it. So, what's the best way to stop that? Don't be near teams. That's just a little mid-game analysis. Now, this is one of the worst possible rotates they can get. They're going to be forced to either be down elevation, try and work into this expanding side, like, through this. So this is probably about as difficult as this rotate can be. I haven't actually pre-watched this, so I'm actually curious how they managed to make this work. Where they go, what their thought process is. Run down middle, we run up left where we have this old path in front of us. Once we have charges again, we use our mobility again. Now that we are on a congested edge, we immediately invest metal, because whenever you're on a congested edge, this is the most important time to use metal. If you are on congested 6th, using metal is good. This is like the zone where teams will do shambles dumb pre-edits. This is like the signature zone. If a team is gonna run some dumbass fucking pre-edit, it's going to be on 6th zone. It is like almost a certainty that a team is going to run some sort of dumb pre-edit somewhere on this congested side. So investing metal on this zone is really good. But they're actually not gonna stop. Man, I'm actually gonna go rewind real quick. I wanna get this Iamzo thought process of vision real quick, because he invested the metal there and then chose to keep going deeper. I feel like a lot of IGLs would have just committed to this side where they invested mats. Let's see, what's the thought process here? What do we see? What changes our opinion? Notice how we're also saving our dashes. So we land here, we invest metal in case we have to stay. We look, we boom that team, and then we run past them. Okay, okay. We don't even really change our position much, but now we're off edge by just like a little bit, by about like 4 or 5 boxes. Which is good, because now when next zone pops, they're now ahead of like all these like other teams that they would be like right next to. Okay, okay, I like that, I like that. So Iamzo is doing like anything he can right there to try and get off that like super congested edge. Now we get to see our favorite new item. A lot of skill there. Pulls max again. So they're actually going to play for this refresh on a max pull. I assume it's because they still have the 3 dashes, cap mobility. They think they can get away with this, which I imagine they're going to do. Spoiler alert from the start of the video and the title. They win this game. They're able to get this kill. But just to keep track, that's a max pull 6th zone and a max pull 7th zone. They got off edge when they got into the 6th zone, and because of that, they were able to get that kill. If they stayed where they were, they would have been where Rojo Casa was there. For the first time, they will use a dash. So we're actually coming in super late here. We're going to be going to like a far less congested side, so it shouldn't be too bad. Them having all this mobility does make this rotate a lot easier compared to last season, where there wasn't really any mobility. Them having triple of these like little Sonic gloves and dashes means they have a lot of mobility. Yeah. I think even if they had 2 charge gloves, I don't even know if they would have been able to make it in on this rotate, because they're still getting like punished for this, but it's not too bad. Part of that punish, though, is because Clicks went further. I think he double tapped. I don't know if that was on purpose. He was trying to be a little Little solo player or what? Let's see. Looks like we're about to get a refresh. I'm gonna swap over to Clicks. Pierce Clicks is gonna be the one to set it up. So we don't have a scan where a lot of other teams do. This is gonna be a very slow refresh. Just real quick to note there, which essentially set up that refresh. What the? They basically just perfect timed their Sonic. So they shot it together. One of them bled through and did like 100 damage to everyone. I believe it was Higgs that got through. So let's just go watch the attack real quick. So we see this team fighting. We actually had pump hits. And then we get... That was not as coordinated as I thought it was, if I'm being honest with you. But it does work. The same principle applied where he holds out shotgun while the other one breaks all the builds. Kind of like a pre-edit. And so he's able to just get a free 100 pump off. And then he just sends in a box. And he makes it work. So now we've gone an 8th zone that is also a max pull. So for all of you keeping track at home, that is now 3 different max pulls in a row. 3 in a row. So something to note, something I didn't really talk about earlier, but I'm now really picking up on what they're doing, is they keep right-clicking in order to break the builds in their box and then launch themselves forward. So rather than editing, like let's say editing a wall and then left-clicking out, looking backwards, they all right-click to break up and then left-click forward. So right here, they're all 3 in their own box. Right-click up to break their build so they're launching safer, and then instantly left-click. Notice how every time he left-clicks, he looks forward to see where he is landing. So now they are going to do the same thing they've been doing pretty consistently. They're going to try to mirror behind a team, use their builds as much as they can. I'm going to go back to a Yamto's POV just so I can watch the IGL, try and see it through his eyes real quick. Let's see what happens here. Alright, same principle. They get into their own boxes. Right click, left click. Always look forward where you're going. Kind of an awkward spot they're going to be in here, but they make it work. Clicks gets knocked. Instantly, Yamzo makes space, double layer off onto that. Instantly also, counter damages, gets a big pump off on Sphinx, gets another big pump off on Sphinx. Keeps playing counter peaks. Notice how he like pushed up to the left there rather than just backing up. A lot of players would have just felt the pressure of that moment, backed up, conceded that box. The only way they can get clicks up there, the only way they can keep this game going, is if they are able to apply counter pressure. Makes space, holds them off, instantly looks for a counter peek, keeps crossairing, cracks Sphinx, goes to the left, and is ready to edit this wall to try and get another shot off. He is ready to fight to counter arrest this team to keep them off. This is the only way you're able to get a double res off. If he had just simply played back, lost his space, like so many players do, Clicks is dead, Yamzo's probably dead, Higgs is forced to solo clutch going up like a layer or two. That is the defining moment in this game. That play gives them a chance to win it. If Yamzo falls there, if he falters, if he makes any mistake, they lose this game. Straight up, they die like 10th, 9th, bad game. Instead, they're still in it. They've got pretty good mats overall, 900, 1200, 600, but still overall good mats. A little bit of a misplay there by, I assume Clicks. I should might have been a Yamzo. Alright, for the first time, they actually get a decent pullback. Higgs dies to a spray. This one's going to be a lot easier for them to res on. But for the first time, they actually get a decent zone. Pulls back here. They should have a pretty decent wrap into the right. So let's go back to Yamto. Let's see this rotate. Let's see how they win this game. Was that them that just launched this guy down, or was that a different team? Let's go back real quick. Let's figure this out. What was the vision there? Because it looked like we were trying to look up. Did Clicks just try and like orb the team above and drop him down? What happens here? So we look up. So it was a different team. I believe it was Josh actually. And then Josh just feeds them a little free refresh, you know, for the boys. Something to note, if you have auto weapon pickup on, it is really easy to drop your purple gloves for blue gloves, even unintentionally. I can't tell you if he did that on purpose here or not, because it doesn't say the durability, but just something to keep in mind. So this is something I'm going to have to keep an eye on more as the season goes on. The fact that they've just full tarped essentially a first moving, I find interesting. I don't know if it's more to do with the meta or more to do with the fact that it's a water zone, but it's definitely something I'm going to have to keep an eye on because it's a very interesting move. Now we look back to the front side, actually fry heights. Are we going to go for it now off that, or are we going to wait? Looks like we're going to wait. Up. Yeah, I lied. Okay, where are our teammates? Okay, we're on like a nice little mid layer. Is Higgs anywhere? Okay, so that might have gone about as poorly as possible. So we all three ended up in essentially different zip codes. We're able to get back together and we're able to regroup. Let me just real quick drone free to try
different
to get
zip codes
of where they are now.
Holy, that's funny.
So off that, they are now chilling on second height. The team that they beaten before and punished is still on height. Seemingly relatively low mats. They are still pretty good on mats. Let's see what they do here. I just saw Higgs glancing at height. So let's see what they cook up here. Do they commit low? Do they commit height? We're nodding our head no. Second zone pops, we're ready to go, we run out. So a lot of kids, a lot of players in general, I noticed, especially in mobility metas, whenever zone pops and it's a max pull, they have the tendency to first use mobility. But the problem is if everyone uses mobility, you end up on the same cycle as everyone else and you run into a lot of risk. Something I first noticed Vino really started to like do is every time you do a max pull and you want to use mobility, you tarp out a couple layers first. Let's say everyone around here has the same idea. They want to use their mobility. If this team uses their mobility, if this team uses their mobility, this team uses their mobility, and this team uses their mobility, all of a sudden, everyone's landing front side over here at the same time. That's a recipe for disaster. All of a sudden, you have 5 different teams landing super congested, same spot front side. Something I learned from Vino, like I said, that every time you get a max pull, like I said, they're all just sending forward. See how like Jargo's now like on their wall, super sketch. He's barely able to get out. Now Sphinx is on like front side too. I think he's about to die. Yep, he gets into aggro and dies. My point is that because Iamzo tarped first, he's able to avoid that congestion. And then if he wanted to, he could then get to here and then get to like this superior position if he wanted to, because he's not rushing it. But it appears they're about to take height. So let's actually watch this real quick. Another advantage of this is obviously you can look up at height. Let's watch this back real quick. This also is a pretty classic Vino high ground take. Zone pulls max, wood tar front, look back. Wait. Notice how also, because they're stacked, they don't really need anything. They're not looking for anything. They're not trying to force a refresh when they don't need one. So instantly, tarp, get the front. Second they get the front, they are building. Did not apply enough pressure, and now they are height. So that was just a super clean, fundamental height take. It doesn't really have much to do with mobility. So zone pulled max, they tarp out of wood to get the front side, they stay their mid layer. Once they get front, they instantly look back. Height team staggered. I can't tell you why that height team staggered, but they did. And so because they staggered, they're able to look back, they're able to take it. And as my good friend, good guy Nani used to always say, height, less than 2 minutes left to go in the game. From here on out, it's just Fortnite. It's not really complicated what they're going to do. They're just going to spray their gun, they're going to spray their gun, and they're going to spray their gun. I guess this time, it's also a little different. They're also going to sonic boom sometimes. actually curious as to why Yamzo isn't Sonic Booming. I imagine it's because he's low durability, but I'm not sure. Look at Higgs going. Still got having that one dash. So this is a bit chaotic as Shadow keeps launching up. I believe Yamzo just knocked him. He did. So that is something to keep in mind going forward this season, is that in this final moving, they just reached rank S+, and so because of that, once again, they get siphoned. So as the season progresses, this final moving is going to be super chaotic because you're going to have people like Shadow there just sending up because they have no other play to really make. So if you're a high ground team, it might be worth to play like a double layer full flank system where it's two players playing low ground and then one player playing like a couple layers above that. But again, still speculation. We'll have to see how the season plays out. Clix falls. Let's go back. Let's see how Clix died. Don't think it really matters as it is a 3v2, but let's see. Do we have a little bit of a misplay here? Do we have just a little trade situation? What goes on here? How do we die? Absolute edgy, incredible gameplay. Never mind. Edgy and Chance, it's him. Chance dies. So it does seem like these final moving zone scenarios are pretty hectic. We saw there that Shadow had a legitimate chance to knock or eliminate one of these players on high ground. We saw at the end there that Edgy and Chance did have a legitimate chance to win that game, even though they were a down A player to one of the best, if not the best trio in the world right now in Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo. So these scenarios are going to be really freaking hectic. You have to be mentally prepared for that, like ready for it. Like you can't just be like lost in the chaos. But yeah, that is how Clix, Higgs, and Yamzo won the first NA scrim of the season. I'm going to be making more content like this as the season goes on. I'm going to be improving my content as I go on. I'm going to try to explain things better. I'm just going to try to become better at this as I go. I'm going to link below my Twitter where I'm going to be posting more small scale things that you should be learning, and my Discord where I'm going to be putting everything together into one singular place. If you guys want more information, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And yeah, I appreciate all